don't always think short-term gains, think long-term gains. And the legacy that you leave in any place is extremely important.
Welcome back to The Change Officer, a mind-opening show where we introduce you to the brilliant humans who are shaping the business landscape of the Middle East. In today's uncertain climate, it would be a surprise not to talk about the hot topic of customer experience. The way we look at the customer experience will certainly determine how our business looks as a whole, because happy customers become brand ambassadors. There is no one better to talk about this than a man who has demonstrated astute leadership, career development, and strategic thinking during his 19-year-long career. He received multiple awards for his achievements, identified as one of the top 40 marketing professionals in the region, as well as voted by Huffington Post as one of the 10 people changing the marketing communications landscape in the MENA region. Furthermore, he's been voted one of the top 200 customer experience leaders to watch in 2021. Our guest's core expertise lies in the digital marketing and tech space, evolving over the years from a pure player marketeer. Starting his career with some of the world's greatest communication companies, today he is the general manager for digital and customer experience transformation with Nissan Motor Corporation for Africa, Middle East, India, and Turkey, overseeing some of the most dramatic customer transformations the company has had to go through in recent times. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome my next guest, Hussein Dajani. Welcome to The Change Officer, Hussein.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming. You really, after we initially approached you for the episode, we're not quite familiar with the backstory with Hug Digital and that whole thing that happened in your life. I was really amazed with everything that you've been through, everything that you achieved, and now you're with Nissan and what you're doing now. So I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Same here.
So you've been on both sides, entrepreneurial side and corporate side, and that's it's a good mix. It gives you two perspectives.
Absolutely. I mean, I still believe that I'm still on that entrepreneurial journey in Nissan, especially in the function in which I'm working in. The fact that we built a new department in the organization, which never existed in the past. So that for me is still like a transition of my entrepreneurial passion and journey.
Which is nice. Yeah, a slightly different environment.
Correct.
Before we deep dive into the topic that we'll be talking about today, most of the time, which is customer experience, especially in the automotive industry. I want to spend a bit more time talking about this part of your professional career when you joined Hug Digital and what you guys did at the time and what you guys achieved. Because that story left me like, wow, it's so exciting and fun.
So joining Hug Digital, it took about 6 months of negotiation with the owners about whether I don't join. And after we finally, agreed on the objectives, I decided, to take my role.
Just to set up the conversation for anyone who is not familiar with Hug Digital. Yes. So Hug Digital at the time
I'm coming into explaining all of that. I'm coming to
explaining all of that. You know the drill. Okay.
Exactly. No, the thing is for me, what was extremely important for me is to understand why do the owners want to hire me and what do they want me to achieve. So, and here is where their story of it. Hug Digital is a local digital agency, and they want to grow it to an extent that they will be able to yield a good return from selling it. So the mandate of getting me on board is, Hussein, restructure the agency, grow the agency, do whatever you want, but we want to be able to sell it.
Make us some cash.
Exactly. And the mandate from my side is the day that you sell, I'm out of there.
All right.
For me, it was super clear and super direct. I don't want to become part of the big dinosaurs again.
And before you joined Hug Digital, you were a part of one of the big.
I was part. Yeah. So I worked with the WPP and I worked with Publicis. So I had my share of experience with the big giants. It was a very nice experience, but I didn't want to be part of it again. For me, Hug Digital excited me because we were small, we were young, we were agile, and we had a lot of room for growth.
Mm-hmm.
So
when you joined Hug Digital, how big was Hug Digital?
Exactly. So when I joined Hug Digital, there were 36 employees in Dubai office.
One office, 36
Yes. So 36 employees, and when I came in and I started looking at the offering, it was merely an agency that does social media, a little bit of content management, a little bit of community management, and a little bit of websites and apps. Really, when it comes to offering, it wasn't clear of what the agency is doing. So what I started with is really evaluating the staff that we had. Seeing who has a certain strengths in a certain area versus this versus that. What is this person doing versus that person? And I admit I had to go to management and tell them that we will need to let go of about 12 people.
Out of 36, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. But again, if we really wanted to go down that route of growth, we need to make sure that we have the right team in place, the right capabilities in place. And the next exercise that I've done is I got the logos of all other digital or social media agencies out there. I put them into one chart and I put the logo of Hug Digital there. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to analyze, number one, whether our logo stands out from everybody else. Number two, I wanted to look at our color, whether it stands out from everybody else. And then I went into what are all those other agencies delivering in terms of services versus what we are delivering. Mm-hmm. And this took us to the next level, which is if we really want to be a digital agency, we need to stand by what a digital agency really stands for. Mm-hmm. So we created verticals. The first vertical being website development and apps development. Second vertical is relating to social media, community management. Third one is social media content management. And when I go into social media content management, this meant we needed to create our own studio. So we had to hire videographers, photographers, editors, all of that. My whole idea behind it is, why go and hire a third-party company to do our job? Why not keep the money in-house and open our own department?
But for that, you need to generate enough business.
Exactly. So any business that you want to do, you will have to put investment at the beginning, and then you'll start seeing what return you will get on it. But you will need to put some money, and this is where. So for me, it was, I told them the first couple of months it's gonna be losses because this is where we're incurring the investments, and then we will start seeing the return on that. So I was saying the third department is the community management. Fourth department is digital media buying and planning. Fifth department is research. So we're doing a lot of white papers, researches, insights, so on and so forth. And the last one is the creative department. So creative, where we will be able to we can do for you a full-fledged campaign. So even though we are a digital agency, mm-hmm. but we have the capabilities to run for you a full campaign, be it
so you were going out there and competing with other marketing creative agencies.
So I was there, I wanted to position ourselves as not competing only with other digital agencies, mm-hmm. but I wanted to be competing out there with any agency. Whether it's a traditional agency, as in the one that only does above the line and below the line, or a digital agency, the one that does social media and websites and all of that, and a media agency, the one that does media buying. So I wanted to go and really position myself. I am an agency, a full-fledged agency, a 360-degree one, a future look. The next step was to actually start looking at the contracts that we had, because we really needed to evaluate those contracts, whether they're making sense or not. How much time are we spending on each one of the clients, looking at the timesheets and so on and so forth. And this is where we really needed to go into the hard sell negotiation with the customers, show them what added value they will get for the increased fees that we will inject on them. And the third step was, and this is, I'm a very firm believer that any organization needs to do, is really go out there and let people start knowing who you are. It was the first time for me
getting attention, right?
Exactly. It was the first time for me joining an agency which nobody has heard of. Nobody has heard of Hug Digital.
How did you solve that?
So basically, you've got your campaign magazine, the Communicate magazine, the Gulf Marketing Review magazine, and so on and so forth. So it was building very strong relationships with them, where I started talking about the story of Hug Digital and basically what transformation we are doing. This is from one side. From another side, I speak a lot in conferences. So I started going and speaking in conferences as the person from Hug Digital. Mm-hmm. So this is where the awareness around Hug Digital started growing more and more.
Is that bringing a lot of new business?
You have no idea. You see, we still live in a region where they believe of word of mouth a lot. So the more they see your name inside a magazine or a newspaper or on TV or on digital, they get excited more about you and they start wanting to become a part of you. So we revamped our website. Our website had a completely new look and feel. We revamped the titles of our staff because there weren't clear titles as to what their responsibility. We created a cult, the Hug Digital cult.
But what you're describing now is still most of the things that I've heard. Some would say are okay. This is obviously what you need to do. What was the secret sauce there?
Passion. Passion. It was
How did you win all of your pitches?
It was not Hussein who is excited. It was Hug Digital who was excited. So I was able to transmit the passion that I had and the challenge that I had to each and everyone in the organization. So it wasn't Hussein is the hero or this is the hero. It was Hug Digital is the hero. So, and to be very honest with you, it had to do with a lot of meetings that I had with the staff teams where, and I told them upfront and in all honesty, if you guys are telling me that you're here to work for the rest of your life in Hug Digital, I will tell you you're crazy. Nobody wants to stay in the same company for all of his life. I know and you know that you guys sooner or later are going to start looking for another job. Do you want to go looking for another job while you're working in one of the hot shops in town, or you just want to go there being on the lower hand rather than the upper hand? I told them, if Hug Digital succeeds, you guys will succeed. If Hug Digital fails, we all fail. So it was a win-win situation. For them, working passionately for Hug Digital means they are working for a company that they are proud of saying, I'm working for Hug Digital, versus just saying, I'm working for a digital agency, yet the name is Hug Digital. No, it was more about that. So it has to do with a lot of morale boosting inside the agency, really. So the amount of meetings that we used to do together, and those meetings were fun meetings rather than the corporate style meetings. They were fun meetings, number one. Number two is we had the culture of anybody who has an idea, bring it to the table. We will study it. So we were agile. Again, we were ready to explore anything. The third thing is do mistakes and learn from them. But when you do the mistake and you learn from that mistake, you make sure you teach everybody else about that mistake.
So they don't repeat.
So nobody is ashamed of admitting that they did a mistake. And that was the culture of it. We made our clients feel the culture that we have inside the agency. So they felt proud working with us. And then they started telling their friends. Their friends got excited more about the agency. This is how it was. It really was a dynamo effect from everything that we are doing. I don't know how to describe it to you, but it was a beautiful feeling.
No, I can imagine. I mean, that when I asked you for the secret sauce, that was the actual secret sauce, this excitement, the passion, the drive that you guys all felt.
You do not understand how exciting it is. You're in an event and you hear somebody saying, who the hell is Hug Digital? Who the hell are those guys? How the hell are they winning all those clients? This was super interesting to hear. So how did we win new clients? It was very honestly, it wasn't on price wars because everybody started accusing us that we are slashing our prices and that's why we're winning clients. Not at all, actually. It wasn't about this. It was about the way we delivered our presentations. It was about the promise that we gave in. And it was about the commitment that we gave. And we said it right-handedly to many of our clients. We don't deliver. Give us a letter right now. we will sign it for you. You won't need to fire us. We will resign the business. We did this on various instances. And this was it. So from an agency that nobody heard of, 8 months down after I joined with them, we were winning a pitch. We were winning new business every month. So on average, every month we were winning 1 to 2 clients.
Wow.
In addition to this, we were extremely open. Wherever our clients want us to be present, we're ready to be present. So when we won, and I remember we won Dubai Festival City, they came and told us that they're going to be opening Doha Festival City. We told them, not a problem. We opened an office in Doha to service Doha Festival City.
Wow, and that's how you open a new market.
And that's how. So we entered Saudi, we entered Kuwait, Kuwait for Hardee's, Americana, they used to be there. They are still there. We opened in Qatar for Dubai Festival City. From Dubai Festival City and Doha Festival City, we won Cairo Festival City in Egypt. We opened in Cairo. We had a back-end office in Trivandrum in India, which is supporting us with all the back-end work. Number one, the cost is less cheaper. Number two, the work gets done much faster. So for us, it made perfect sense.
Wow.
So it was, this is the way we went by.
So from 36 people in one country, 2 years after that, 30.
So after 3 years from when I left, we were 128 people.
Wow. And how many? 6 markets?
6 markets.
Wow. And at that point, you exited the business.
This is when
the
I
business was
exited the
sold
business.
for
Yes.
undisclosed amount.
I cannot say it out of respect to the partners,
course.
but I will tell you one thing.
It was a success story. I mean,
it was a success story.
Although it was exited, maybe not something that you
to be honest with you,
do, but
I didn't. I was against the sale.
Because you built something very unique.
Not only this. One, I was completely attached to Hug Digital. Number two is, for me is, if today you're selling it for an X, I give you my word that in 2 years' time, you will sell it for
10X.
triple X. Exactly. So why are you running to sell it now? And everything I said...
It's a successful business that's growing.
Exactly. And everything I said about the sale was correct. Where is Hug Digital today?
Nowhere, it doesn't exist.
Nobody hears of it. One, it doesn't exist. Why? Because I told them one thing. Those big dinosaurs are coming and buying the small agencies because they fear them. So what they're doing is, it's like a Wall Street. The big companies coming and buying the small companies, tearing them apart and disappear. So now Hug Digital has become AKQA. There's no more Hug Digital. It doesn't exist anymore.
No, yeah, that's what we've been seeing around the world, yeah.
That saddens me.
All right. New chapter after that came.
New chapter. So I resigned from Hug Digital, and I went to the US to do an executive education program in Wharton University. It was a program that I always wanted to do. Again, being an entrepreneur, it was a course about innovation. And it was the course that gave birth to Netflix, to Spotify, and to Uber.
Wow.
So
what do you mean gave birth to?
So the idea was incubated from the course.
Oh, really?
So I wanted to go there and to be to do that course. Exactly 1 week before going there, this is when Nissan knocked on my door. We did the interviews, the whole process, everything. And when I was in the US, actually was when I signed the contract. I was in the US. I got the offer from them. And this is when, to be honest with you, is even though I don't have automotive background, experience, Nissan as a brand excited me a lot. The slogan was innovation that excites. So it's definitely an exciting thing. Number two, the challenge was super exciting for me. They wanted me to head digital marketing for the AMI region, Africa, Middle East, India, and Turkey. For me, it was super interesting. One, being on the client side, which I've done before with Red Bull and with Virgin Mobile. So I wanted to do that, to go back to the client side. Number two is, what was interesting for me a lot is the mandate. The mandate. Really take an automotive brand into the digital side of things. What happened is I joined Nissan based out of Dubai.
Was it you worked on Hug Digital, which is a small team, vibrant, agile, quick. You're opening new markets. You're joining on the other side a beast. It's a global brand. How many years old? Many years old. corporate environment.
Yeah.
How difficult was it to make a decision?
To be honest with you, it wasn't that difficult because I had client-side experience before. So now when I went and worked in Virgin Mobile and when I worked in Red Bull, it was, again, working on the client side, even though I was agency. So for me, it wasn't. Plus another thing, for me, it was the fact that I'm responsible for a very big region. It made me feel as if I'm an agency and I'm responsible for clients. Because at the end of the day, the markets are my clients. I need to service the markets. So for me, it wasn't really that much of a difficult thing. I think the hardest part was figuring out how does the organization work much more than actually being in the organization. It's a very big one with so many different departments. And I still remember the first meeting I attended in Nissan. I go in and we use code names for the vehicles. So we don't call the Patrol as Patrol. We don't call the Maxima as
How
Maxima.
do you call them?
So we call them, we have special codes for calling them. And I remember I went inside the meeting and the only thing I can hear is codes. And I was like, it's either I'm an idiot or I'm really not understanding what's going on here.
I'm not from this world.
And I still have it at home. I went and bought a notepad, and it was the connotation notepad, and there was 16 pages.
Wow.
16 pages.
But that's a different language that you're speaking.
Completely different language. And then I was like, and still till today, after 4 years working in Nissan, there are still some words where you find me in a meeting and I send a message to one of my colleagues. What does this stand for again? Yeah, it's not easy. There's a lot of words to memorize. The codes of the vehicles now, I don't know them by heart. It's super easy.
Yeah.
But there are always new things that you start learning and developing.
You see, who said that corporates are not exciting?
Exactly.
So you joined as your role is digital and customer experience.
No, I joined. I was just handling digital marketing.
All right.
My boss was based in Yokohama in Japan. 4 months down the line, my boss changed. The one in Yokohama moved to another market, and I got a boss in Dubai. And when my boss in Dubai joined, this is when globally they decided to open the customer experience function. So what happened is digital marketing became under Marcoms, and there was customer experience. And this is where my boss came to me and he said, you have one of two options. You either continue in digital marketing or you jump into customer experience. Without even thinking about it, I said, definitely customer experience.
Wow.
See, customer experience was back then a buzzword and a term that's being circulated a lot among companies and people. But for me, I believed in the future of it.
What did it mean for Nissan when they said customer experience?
That's a very interesting question, because when I said I will jump on the customer experience side of things, I still remember walking down the corridors in the office and I'm like, hey, how are you? So what do you do here? I'm like, I'm handling customer experience. Oh, so you're the guy responsible for customer service and the call center and all of that. I was like, not really.
Not really.
Not really. Close, but not really. So what customer experience meant for Nissan is we are on a mission. And the mission is very simply put, we want to turn Nissan to become a customer-centric organization. What does that mean? Every single touch point that Nissan has with existing or potential customers, we want to be able to turn it into a seamless, frictionless, enjoyable journey. This is, in a nutshell, what it is. So be it on the physical, be it on the digital, anything of that, any touch point that the customer has with us, we want to make sure it's an enjoyable and enduring experience. This is what matters to us. So even though I report into the marketing function, I am responsible for customer experience across the whole organization. So I have to work with the sales team, with the after sales team, with the dealer network development team, with the connected car team, with the market intelligence team, with the ISIT team. I have to work with all of them.
When you say customer,
yes,
who are your customers?
Exactly. So a customer is either an existing owner of a Nissan vehicle or a potential owner of a Nissan vehicle. This is in a nutshell what we mean by a customer. It's two fronts.
Okay.
So it's either Hussein, who owns a Nissan Patrol, or it is Muhammad, who currently owns car X, but he's interested in buying a Nissan car.
The reason I'm asking is there's a lot of companies out there who are dealing with working on their experience or customer experience. And sometimes in the wider spectrum, there are other entities that you're working with, sometimes your partners, sometimes your people within the company that are also looked as customers.
Very good. So you touched upon a very interesting thing. The customer that I told you about, the existing owner or the potential one, those are the external customers.
I see.
The internal customer is the whole organization, all the way from senior management, all the way to lower management. Everybody is, and when we go into the COVID era, you will get to understand more about how it was extremely important in capturing the internal customer before the external customer.
I see. Okay, question for you. For Hussein, what's customer experience? How do you explain customer experience?
Not being frustrated when dealing with a brand or a company. This is one. Number two, feeling of being valued by a company rather than just being a check or a piece of money paper for a company. And three, always being surprised by the company.
That's a good
Always being surprised by the company. This is a very interesting thing.
I like it. So you worked on both. You worked, customer experience was always something that you were paying attention to. You talked about Hug Digital. Your customers were something that you were focused on and you were delivering them value, building trust with them. Comparing building customer experience within a smaller company and larger company.
So small companies are always agile. Smaller companies can immediately revise their plans, their strategies, their processes, adapt, and move on. Large companies, you have two issues with them. Number one, they are super heavy, so hard to change things in them, be it processes, systems, so on and so forth. You got to go through so many layers of approvals and adaptation in this. Number two is the more a company grows, the more it falls into the trap of its success. And that trap is becoming silos. So you start creating silos in your organization. Every single department becomes working independently from the other. And what ends up happening is they end up starting to compete with each other. And this eventually affects the customer. Why? Because the journey is interrupted, the journey is disrupted, and the customer himself feels that he's working with multiple companies rather than one company.
So, for example, you have maintenance on one side and service, and then you have sales, and then you have marketing.
And finance, and so on and so forth. They don't talk with each other. When that happens, this is the most dangerous thing for any organization.
How do you think that can be addressed? What's the way to approach that?
So the way we did it at Nissan is when we created customer experience function, we needed to ensure that we get the buy-in from every single function. So what we did is we booked meetings with the different functions. We went there. We did a presentation to them. We explained to them who we are as a customer experience department. What are we here to do? So what is our mission? Why are we meeting with them? And what do we want from them? And in the question of what do we want from them, we asked them to nominate one person in their department who will be responsible for customer experience in their function. And that person will become part of something we call the Customer Experience Steering Committee. That Customer Experience Steering Committee, consider it like a round table, and there are people sitting on it. You have a representative from every function sitting there who will be responsible for customer experience in their department. We're all sitting together. We're all sharing our plans together. So every single other department knows about what the other department is doing. We try to get each other's help. So if somebody is launching a certain solution, we start suggesting, hey, what about you connected to this? And what about you connected to that? And at the end of the day, the customer is benefiting from all of this. So that's how you break the silo. And more important, because when you start tapping into other departments, they fear you because they think that you're coming to take their job away.
Yeah.
So for us is we wanted to assure them that we're not there to take their job. We're actually there to complement what they are doing and them to complement us. And if they succeed, we succeed. And if we succeed, they succeed. So it was a win-win situation once again.
And
Everybody's in it.
Yeah, which is, in a nutshell, setting up a structure like that sounds like a good solution. Continuously on the long run, how do you sustain that? What are the mechanisms to track that?
Communication. We keep talking with each other. So just for you to know, on my smartphone, I have WhatsApp group with every single department. Whenever any solution is launched in any of the markets, we communicate it with each other. So everybody is aware of it.
Aware.
Exactly.
All right.
So that nobody comes and tells you, but nobody told me.
Okay.
So we make sure that everybody knows about them. Look, people forget sometimes that you're not working with departments. You're working with humans. At the end of the day, it's all about human psychology. Right now, I can make you my fiercest enemy, or I can make you my biggest endorser.
So far, you're on your good way.
So far, I'm on the good side. I intend to stay that way. But it really depends on what kind of relationship do I want to have with you. It's either I can comfort you, it's either I can get your respect, I can get your trust, or I can have you as my enemy. So this is what our job is. Because I will tell you one thing, and this I repeat it to every single customer experience practitioner at Nissan, and even in the steering committees. I want you to think about what was the last best experience you ever had with any company in the past. So think throughout all your life, what was the best experience you had with any company?
Probably it's not going to be automotive.
I don't know. It could be.
Could be.
But our job is to either match that experience or deliver better than that.
The reason I said probably wouldn't be automotive is most of the companies compare themselves with companies from the same industry.
Correct.
While you're
we
setting,
don't.
which is amazing.
We don't.
Which is amazing.
We don't. So if you come and tell me to who do we compare ourselves? So it's not about we compare ourselves, but we always monitor. We always benchmark with the hospitality industry because hospitality is extremely important. Number two, we compare it with the banking industry because it's a very important industry. And the third one is the telecommunication industry. Now, the only challenge with this is buying a car is the second biggest investment you do in your life.
Which is true.
Versus going and buying a mobile line or buying a smartphone. So the experience there varies a little bit.
Slightly different, yeah.
Yes, but still what you will be able to learn from them is how they are creating those experiences or those moments. The best company when it comes to experiences worldwide is Disney. Disney tell you, Disney himself said, Disney will cease to exist when imagination ceases to exist. It's all about the power of imagination and creativity. So as long as that is there, I went to Disneyland myself and I felt I'm like a 5-year-old kid. They made me feel like a 5-year-old kid. So it's all about that. It's all about the kind of experience you want to create for people.
How do you measure the impact or the output of customer experience?
So that's an interesting question.
Because that's important if you want to prove the point of the investment or
Absolutely. So we have number one is we have so there are, just for you to know, there are various methods for us to be able to measure what we call return on experience that we do. The first one being is if we look at the power of data, we have access to all the analytics of our platforms. So we start looking at those data and analyzing them. Are we getting returned visitors? Are actually the visitors transforming into leads? Are those leads transforming into sales? So on and so forth. Because we have a funnel. And the funnel goes by platform visits, so the website visits, and then qualified visits. So those people are actually taking action. They're not bouncing out of the website. Then you have the leads, which means they actually took an action. They either filled a form if they want to do a test drive or they want a call back. They become qualified leads. So when do we call them back to qualify them? And then when do they turn into sales? Were we able to? So that gets you to understand on whether there is any disruption happening in the process. But if you want to look at the overall, you remember I was talking about frictionless seamless experience. So for us, there are journeys that customers go through in order to buy a vehicle or to trade in or to do service maintenance. So what we do is we have tools that we use in order to be able to figure out where is the disruption taking place in that journey. And that gives us, through a mathematical formula, a number which we consider as the ROX, which is the return on the experience. So again, there are so many ways. We do A/B testing, for instance, on our platforms in order to be able to see, is it better to put that call for action over here or over there? So there are so many tools that we use.
Yeah.
But most important is we have something called the voice of the customer. We as customer experience practitioners, we are the ambassadors of the customers inside the organization. We are the defenders of the customers inside the organization. We are the ones who make sure that it's always the customer that we're thinking of before anything else.
That's beautiful. Okay, switching gears a bit. I think that if guests were not familiar with your passion so far, they are familiar with it now 100%. I can feel the energy, enthusiasm, passion 100%. You've been through a very long and exciting professional career.
Yeah.
You've worked for big agencies, small agencies, grew businesses, exited businesses. Now you're working for a corporate. What kept you going all that time?
Look, the way I look at my journey, it's actually quite interesting. First of all, just for you to know, I'm a banking and finance and economics graduate. So I worked in one of the leading banks back home in Lebanon, and then I worked in Merrill Lynch. And this is when I did the leap all the way towards the advertising and communication industry. As much as I respect Merrill Lynch, I hated my work there because I'm not a kind of a suit person. I can't remember when was the last time I put a tie on. I don't like this. So I moved into the advertising industry. And after working in it for 10 years, I decided I want to do two leaps. I want to move to the client side and I want to work in digital. So for me, that was an interesting challenge. I moved to the client side. For me, it was the first time experiencing things on the client side. But number two is digital, which was something I saw a huge future for digital, and I wanted to be part of that future. And this is where I jumped into the digital side. And honestly, I'm among the very few people in the region who started in the digital industry, something I'm very proud about. So I moved into that. Unfortunately, my first experience with the client side wasn't that great because the company shut down. It was Virgin Mobile in Qatar. After 2 years of operation, they decided to withdraw. But I was still not satisfied, or I was still not finished with my mission working in digital and the client side. And this is when an opportunity knocked on my door, Red Bull. I think Red Bull and Hussein were a perfect fit. We're insanely energetic, both of us. And,
especially when you drink Red Bull. Huh?
Exactly. and really, for me, it was a very interesting thing. In addition to an interesting challenge that I had, the region that I was responsible for was super interesting. For the first time, I was really going beyond the Middle East region and starting to put Africa under my portfolio. So I was responsible for Middle East and Africa, and I was reporting into Austria, Red Bull Media House. So for me, that was a great experience. Again, the journey is continuing, client side and digital.
What I'm curious about, what was the motivator? What was the driver behind all of these switches and looking for more, achieving more, switching jobs, pushing? Like what's that burning in you? Like what's pushing you?
I don't know what to call it. I had a boss before that used to tell me, you are like a train that's going at a speed of 500 kilometers per hour and hitting everything that's in front of you. You're just deciding you want to go there and you're going there. I cannot explain it. But for me, the day I'm living a life without a challenge is, I believe, the day that there is no need for me in life anymore. I love challenges.
Do you think that...
and I hate comfort zones.
Well, I think both of these are actually describing like why are you who you are and why you ended up here
I guess
where
so.
you are. seeking for a
hate
new
comfort
challenge
zone.
all the time is pushing you to achieve more,
Yeah.
right? And if your comfort zone, it's, it's not-
and I hate doing repetitive things. So when you come and tell me, when Nissan gave me the option, digital marketing or customer experience, I decided customer experience because I could see working in digital marketing, I'm going to get bored of it in a year or 2 years time. Whereas customer experience is not
Continuously
a journey.
evolving.
It's completely, continuously and completely evolving. With all the technological innovation that's taking place, how do you adapt that into and the climax of my career, by the way, with Nissan was COVID-19. COVID-19, when unfortunately so many people lost their jobs, for me, it was the climax of my career.
Yeah, absolutely, because you were in digital.
Exactly.
Do you think that education played an important role in your life, in your career?
Don't think it's education as much as the country I was born and raised in. Lebanon is like a survival of the fittest. Lebanon is about not giving up. See, I was born for a Lebanese mother and a Palestinian father. I think my father, having had to leave Palestine when he was young, coming to Lebanon, the wars that I went through in Lebanon, having to move from one house to the other, from one city to the other, and all of that. I think all of this built inside of me that fighter spirit, where any challenge you throw on me, I'm ready to jump on it. Any challenge that's out there, without anybody nominating me for it, I would nominate myself. So I think it has to do a lot with my childhood in Lebanon.
That's interesting, because what I'm trying to answer, and I'm talking to all of our guests about that, what's the set of events that made you who you are? And the reason why I'm asking about education, and it's been a popular topic lately, whether education is really important as is, if you had a perfect education throughout your life, is that a guarantee that you're going to be successful?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think what Lebanon helped us with is being street smart rather than academic. I told you I studied banking and finance and economics. By the way, I graduated with distinction, high distinction, and I suck in math and in finance. If I didn't have my wife right now, I would be most probably under so many loans. She's the one who controls the financials at home.
Credits to the wife.
Credits to the wife, 100%. No, really. I don't think education has anything to do with it. I will tell you why. When I moved with Virgin Mobile to head their digital department, I had never worked in digital. I had to teach myself on my own, and I had to teach myself on the job. When Nissan made me jump into heading customer experience over there, I had never worked in customer experience. I had to teach myself. So if you come and tell me, is that a criteria for me for how I hire talents? Yes. I don't care about what they know. I care about their passion. It's my job to teach them how to do the work. But all I want is their passion.
That is strong.
Without passion, you cannot do what you do.
No, I agree. You're familiar with the global movement, How I Fucked Up?
I heard of it.
And I think it's great. And it's a movement that celebrates failures.
Absolutely.
Everyone around talks about successes,
Yes.
and everyone has a success story to tell.
Yeah.
But do you have any failure that set you for a later success?
Look, life is about a lot of failures, honestly, in your life. So I was a failure in school. So in school, I didn't finish my last year of school. So I decided to go high school. And I did the high school program rather than the regular Lebanese baccalaureate program because I failed. I was completely failure. The other failure that I've done is, for instance, I worked in TBWA for 1 year, and I left TBWA without putting my mark. Every single place I worked in, JWT, Burnett, Red Bull, Virgin Mobile, you could see and feel what Hussein left over there. TBWA, I didn't leave a mark, and that pisses me off.
Why do you think that's important?
The legacy that you leave in any place is extremely important. The legacy that you leave behind you is something which is very important. And for me, it's very important for me to keep a legacy behind me anywhere I worked. The other, I wouldn't call it failure, and I don't regret anything. But the other thing that sometimes pisses me off is when I was working with JWT in Saudi, Booz Allen Hamilton, a consultancy company, approached me. I did the interviews, I passed the interviews, and I rejected the offer. And that haunted me for a long time, because I always wanted to work in a consultancy company. But I didn't take it.
It was who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe a missed opportunity, but
Correct.
But each of these that you stated were lessons.
Were lessons, absolutely. Were lessons 100%. So it taught me, number one, don't look at the past and regret. Rather look at the past and see what you achieved and take it as a lesson so that you achieve more in the future. And number two is just keep pushing yourself. You got pissed because you didn't leave your mark in TBWA, then make sure in the next company you leave a mark.
I'm sure that you left the mark in every company that came after that.
I did. So after TBWA came Virgin Mobile,
Lesson
came
learned.
Red Bull, So for me, this means a lot.
Are you familiar with Ray Dalio?
No.
Okay, Ray Dalio he wrote the book Principles.
Okay.
And not a lot of people are actually familiar with Ray Dalio, although he's one of the wealthiest men in the United States.
Really?
He is leading the most successful hedge fund in the world.
Okay.
And I used him just to set the stage for the question. He wrote the book Principles. Great book. A recommendation.
Thank you.
And in this book, he talks about his work and life principles that he is following. And he is splitting the book in two parts, and there is numerous. I think there is around 100 and something principles. They're all mind-opening. So, for example, his life principles are embrace reality and deal with it.
And what?
And deal with it.
Okay.
So embrace reality and deal with it. Or also be radically open-minded.
Yeah.
And then his work, for example, principles that are interesting are radical truthfulness and radical transparency.
Yeah.
Do you have any life and work principles that you follow?
Yes. Having worked in the advertising industry, I've seen a lot of things that I don't agree with. I've seen deals under the tables. I've seen, lot of things that either got me disgusted by the industry or got me disgusted by the people who were doing those acts. For me, I have a principle: is the world, no matter how big it is, it's actually a very small world. And you do one mistake, it will haunt you. It will haunt you. So don't always think short-term gains, think long-term gains.
Well,
this is one.
This is a strong one.
The second one is, and this my father taught it to me in September 21, 2002, which was 1 week before I left my home country, Lebanon, to go for my first job with JWT in Saudi. He told me, son, I'm gonna tell you one thing. Whether you become a CEO or whether you become a busboy in a restaurant, there are two things in life you will never be able to buy them: your name and your reputation. Those are your most important assets in life. If any of those two are hindered, no matter what you do, you will never be able to change people's perceptions about you or people's opinion about you. told me, this is the only thing this is the only advice I can give you. I'm not a rich man to come and give you an apartment or this or that. All I can give you is this life lesson that I believe will help you a lot. And ever since that day, I follow that.
Which is priceless.
For me, it is priceless. Because I've seen so many people in our industry, and they are in top positions, but if only you hear what people talk about them.
That's strong. Another book, Ikigai. Have you heard about it?
I heard, yes.
It's just for the listeners. Ikigai roughly translates into the reason for being.
Yeah.
It's a Japanese formula for happiness.
Correct.
And they say finding your Ikigai means having a purpose in life that fulfills not only your desires, but also world's needs. So that's something that you first of all love, something that causes you to be present. Some also call it a state of flow, which is a good definition. So things that you do in life, you don't track time. There are things that you do in life that last for 12 hours and you're like, what, really 12 hours? And then you do something for 1 hour and it's been like whole day. So something that you love, something that you can get paid for, something that you are good at, and something that the world needs. So it's a mix of these four. Have you found your Ikigai? Some people are looking for, by the way, for listeners, and most of the people are looking for their Ikigai whole their life.
So I went through 2 transformations in my life. The first transformation was when I got cancer. I was working with, and that's the reason why I left Red Bull.
Oh.
So I was working in Red Bull, and I got kidney cancer. And I had to leave the company because I had to rest for quite some time. And number 2 is because if you work in Red Bull, there's no way you can be sick. We used to work like crazy. So that was a life-changing experience for me. Really a life-changing experience for me. Is you watch in the movies, when a doctor is telling a patient you have cancer, but somebody looking at you in your eyes and telling you have cancer, it's a life-changing. This was the first one. The second one is when I was dating my wife, and she told me, I don't like a man with a belly. And I was fat back then. And this is when I told myself, you have 2 options. Either you will stay with her, but eventually one day you're going to lose her, or you do the change. And I did the change. And I did the change to an extent that now she's asking me, please stop doing sports, because I'm doing it a lot. So between the gym, the yoga, the tennis, the wake surfing, it's really, when people think sometimes that I'm going through a midlife crisis, whereas I'm not. I'm just on a journey towards a very healthy lifestyle. If you come and tell me what is my Ikigai, I will tell you one thing. I told you I studied banking and finance and economics. I studied it because I didn't know any better. My brother did banking and finance. My sister did banking and finance. So ultimately, in my brain, it was, if my brother did it and my sister did it, it means I have to do it. And I hated it. I want to play a role in the future generation. I want to be able to really play and affect the future generation. And that's why I speak a lot in universities. I speak to students, undergrad students, in order to get them to really understand what is life out there. Because I'm frustrated from the future generation. So I see them looking for a job, but they throw the CV at you as in, find me a job, or will you hire me? You don't feel that drive.
Desire.
Yes, you feel they're spoiled brats who are just sitting there and thinking that everything is going to come at the table in front of them. After you hire them, so 3-4 months down the line, they come to you and they tell you, I want to become a manager. I want to be promoted. They don't have that drive. They don't have that, and this is where I see the negative role of digital on them. So for me I want to be able to try to see how I can drive this. This gives me the satisfaction deep inside. How am I able to affect the future generation through my experience from what I'm working? Let me tell you one thing. I was 20-year-old kid who traveled from Lebanon, an open-minded country, partying, girls and all of that. I went to Saudi, a 20-year-old kid, where if I saw the hand of a female, it's like you gave me $1 million. And I stayed there for 13 consecutive months the first year I went there without leaving the country. And I used to sleep on a mattress on the floor. Okay, so I really had to go through the hardship of my life to be able to reach where I am. Life was not that great and that easy for me.
You know how they say hard times are making strong people?
Exactly.
Strong people are making good times are making weak people.
Exactly.
Hopefully, future generations.
But if you come and tell me, so this is the one part. The second part is, as you know, I'm a digital person. I work in digital. I'm starting to reach the tipping point with digital. So I'm moving from somebody who used to endorse digital a lot and empower digital and believe in the power of digital to someone who's starting right now to get scared of digital. And where is digital taking us? So right now, if you come and tell me, would I enjoy listening to music through my smartphone or through Alexa or this or that?
My palm.
Or actually, or through my palm, or getting the old stereo where you have to turn it around? I will tell you, I would enjoy the old stereo doing it around. So I don't know if it has to do with age. I crossed the 40 years old, so I don't know if it has to do with this or not, but I'm enjoying the simple things in life much more than the technologically advanced things in life.
Okay, I think that you're on a good way to lock down the proper ikigai and
I
live
guess so.
that meaningful life that I think a lot of people are losing their way out of the previous 10, 20 years, given what we are going through.
Agree.
So, all right, last question. And it's a very simple one. Is there any question? You've been on a lot of podcasts, keynotes, and so on. Is there any question that nobody asked you so far and that you would like to give an answer to?
That's an interesting. That's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. I think nobody ever asked me what scares me.
Hussein, what scares you?
Failure scares me. Failure not for the fear of failure, but rather because I failed myself. And I wasn't up to the challenge given to me. This is one. Number two is my biggest fear is the fact that I'm Lebanese and I feel I'm a nomad. I fear the future a lot. It's the one thing that keeps me not sleeping at night. Where will I retire? What will my identity be? Who will my kids be? That scares the hell out of me. That really scares the hell out of me.
Hussein, thanks for coming.
My utmost pleasure. I really hope you enjoyed this.
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
It's an interesting thing. Look, I apply customer experience at work and I apply it in my personal life. And it sometimes drives my wife crazy because I tell her, consider me as a customer. You're failing me right now. And she looks at me and she's like, I hate what you do. But it's such a rewarding thing to do, honestly.
It is. And I think that you are doing the right thing, and with the passion that you're bringing in, I think that's,
I'm really lucky.
The outcome and the impact that you're making is going to be huge.
I'm really lucky. I'm working in something which I love. So to me, it's not like I'm going to work. It's like I'm going to do my hobby. And this is what I love about it.
Amazing. Thanks for coming.
Utmost pleasure. Stay safe and take care.
Yes, thank you. Thanks everyone for staying with us till the end. If you are enjoying and like what we're doing here with the Change Officer, please like and subscribe. It's going to mean a lot to us. Leave us any comments and questions that you have. Reach out via LinkedIn or emails, and we'll be happy to give you all of the answers. Hussein, thanks again for coming, and
Utmost pleasure.
we'll see you again soon.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.